Just to confirm, my name is Chris Lawler, and this is my end of semester presentation for Introduction to Communication 1043-002. In March of 2020, less than 100 Americans were infected and less than 10 were dead. By the beginning of December 2020, more than 14 million Americans were infected and 275,000 were dead. The cause of this is none other than COVID-19. COVID-19 has had many detrimental impacts on people in the United States. I believe no one could have foresaw the consequences of COVID-19, but with my research I've conducted, we'll take a look at some of the negative consequences it has had. We'll take a look at the negative impacts it's had on the United States economy, the mental health of people in the United States, and the US education systems. First, we're going to jump into the negative impacts COVID-19 has had on the economy in the United States. A lot of people, since lockdown started in March, have been forced to stay at home, work from home, or even been fired from their jobs or laid off from their jobs. Rakesh Kakar, an economist for the Pew Research Center, wrote an article on June 11th stating how the unemployment rates rose from 3.8% in March to a whopping 13% in May. This is more than the unemployment spike in the Great Recession, which occurred from 2007 to 2009. Meaning, in those 3 short months that COVID-19 was impacting the United States, it had a higher unemployment spike than it did for 2 years during the Great Recession, in which these 3 months, it can be comparable to the unemployment rates of the Great Depression that occurred in the 1930s. Secondly, an impact COVID-19 had on the economy is that the GDP for the United States fell 32.9%, one of the highest it's been in a long time. It's actually one of the deepest declines since 1947 in terms of GDP. I just discussed how COVID-19 has negatively impacted the economy. Next, we're going to go into how COVID-19 has negatively impacted the mental health of people in the United States. A lot of people have been stuck at home and their mental health has been deteriorating, whether it's been worrying about Corona itself, their loved ones, or their overall health. COVID-19 has had a definite negative impact on people. Nurmita Panchal, a policy analyst for KFF, she did a research study that reported 53% reported higher stress measures in July versus 32% in March. That is a 21% increase. Also, she did research on depression disorders for people and found that in the adults that she surveyed, 40.1% showed symptoms of depressive disorder in July. And to give them a statistic in comparison, from January to June 2019, only 11% of adults showed any types of depressive symptoms. This can all be correlated from people staying at home, stress over Corona itself, and fear also, whether it's about their own lives, maybe they've lost a family member, but overall, people's mental health has been deteriorating from COVID-19. I just discussed the mental impacts COVID-19 has had on people in the United States. And lastly, we're going to cover how COVID-19 has affected the education systems in the United States. Kids are not able to receive adequate learning. They've been forced to go into online systems since spring and continue to do so throughout the fall. And they were not able to receive adequate learning. Specifically, children of lower income levels would not receive the same learning that children of higher income levels would receive. Another impact of that is that we see them being put behind in terms of learning. The learning and development was starting to be impeded, and we can see those effects starting to be shown now. Emma Garcia, an education policy evaluator for the Economic Policy Institution conducted a research study over teachers and how they've been giving their instructions through online learning during the spring and fall semesters, found out only 2/3 of teachers received any type of online training for using online programs in the past 12 months. And not only that, only 25.5% of those teachers that received training said that training was very useful to begin with. And we can see some of the impacts of COVID-19 on education just now, having to do our meetings and recordings through Zoom like this. In conclusion, I have covered the negative impacts COVID-19 has had on the economy in the United States, the mental health of people in the United States, and the education systems in the United States. COVID-19 is not the first pandemic to hit the United States, but it will not be the last. And hopefully next time we have learned from this one and we'll be ready.